Hi everyone, welcome to this new episode of Global Entrepreneur. Today I'm going to be talking about how to deal with failure. So, just to give you a little bit of background, 2 years ago I started a startup company in college called FlykeART that developed smart airplane food carts to reduce fuel costs for airlines and to also improve the in-flight experience by connecting smartphone devices to digitalize the entire catering experience on board. I started this company when I was a junior in university, so during my third year of studies. And after 2 years and $100,000 of investment that I got from cash prizes, from competitions, and fellowships from the university and from other sources, we failed. And so today I want to talk about how I dealt with failure. And to look back into what were the mistakes that we did and how we could have fixed those. So, just to summarize, the last thing we did with the company was that we already had a physical prototype or a semi-functional prototype, and we talked to one of the major airlines in the U.S. and presented the whole project to them to see whether they would like to go ahead and have us build this specific product for them. So after I had graduated, it had only been a month, and so I was going to go full time into this startup. And then what happened was that the global pandemic of coronavirus took place, and so we had to ultimately shut down the company. And probably it's not just us, but a lot of startups who had to shut down their operations, and it's obviously a global crisis is something very hurtful for everyone out there, not just for the economy. But looking back, I'm just really glad that I have a failure on my resume. And this was the first time I had really failed big, right? Considering I have always been a really good student, not just in high school but in college. Also as a startup founder, I had been winning competition after competition, so everything was win 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 win, and all those micro wins ended up in a huge F, right? Huge failure. What's good about this is that now I can internalize what failure means to grow and to move on to different things. And I couldn't find a lot of startup failure stories online and on Facebook and YouTube. I feel like everyone talks about success and how they became millionaires and how they did really well, but not a lot of people talk about how their startups failed and how they dealt with it. And so here's a couple of things that I wanna mention. So, first of all, the fact that the coronavirus outbreak happened means that there was nothing we could have done, because once it was announced that this was growing in the U.S. and the entire country was going to be shut down, airlines sent us emails saying we're going to stop this project and we're not interested in developing this and we don't know for how long this is going to take place. And so so we were done at that point. When I read that, I got very sad, and not just because my dreams were entirely crushed, but also because I was an immigrant in the U.S. I was an international student, and it was impossible for me to be able to stay and find something else to do until this could end. I would just have to leave the country, and so I did. And just having to sell my car, my belongings, and also to hand in the key for my apartment, and having to exit the country by in that week was just really really tough. It was kind of like a forced exit. But if I look back, I think there's some things we didn't do well. For example, I feel like we were trying to talk to executives at airlines and trying to convince them to get into a multi-million-dollar deal just being 23 year olds that didn't even graduate from college. And so if we would have hired someone a lot more experienced in sales, or potentially we could have gotten a board of experienced people to have our back, and be there in the meetings, just trying to help us sell this project, I think it would have had a lot more strength overall. And ultimately, those two things could have helped us, get this client and sign a contract before the outbreak. So I think we should have moved faster. I just didn't know. But at the same time, it's hard to know, because if I had to uh, do all of this, I would have probably had to invest a lot more money into it, and time and effort. And if it would have still failed, then the risk would be massive. So I think, since I was just a student, I wanted to be very conservative, and not put investors' money into the project or go all in, because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So yeah, I mean, maybe we could have tried getting more experienced people to sell our product. I don't know how that would have, helped us. But overall, what happened with the global pandemic is something out of our control. Now, I want to say that I'm really happy that I failed. And again, it was the first time in life that I had really failed, and it was tough, and I cried a lot, and I had to man up and just assume what happened. And not only I had to shut down the company, but just firing my team members and telling them that we were done, and having to liquidate our assets and our things, and just going through the legal process is really tough. But I'm just glad that all of the 2 years and $100,000 of investment that we put in, and it's not just 2 years. I want you guys to know that these were my two most valuable years. I was in school doing a double major, studying harder than anyone, and I sacrificed every single weekend to try to, get this product to market. And I wouldn't go out to parties, I wouldn't see my friends, I wouldn't do anything but work. I was doing PowerPoint presentations, learning about the financials, watching videos, learning about business, doing engineering, developing the product, looking and hiring for people, structuring the business. There were so many things on my plate, and at the same time I was studying engineering and economics. So it's not that I was just doing the startup. So it was, a lot of sacrifice, especially hours of sleep and stress and time. But I'm just really glad that after so much work, we got our provisional patent, and now we are waiting for FlykeART to have a non-provisional patent status, which means that if things do get better in the next 2 or 3 years, then we will have the chance to get back to it and potentially try to invest in this project again, and sell, and talk to airlines so we can bring this product to market. Or in any case, we could also license the patent. So the good thing about intellectual property is that it gives us, or me in this case, a monopoly for 20 years over what to do with the invention. And it's great, because now we have a property, we have a tangible asset, compared to not having nothing. So I feel like ultimately putting in the resources to get a patent was a great thing, because now we can get back to it if we ever would like to do so. And the good thing is that if I do come back to this project, I will come back with a lot more experience. Yeah, but this journey has been great. I really learned how to do public speaking, how to hire a team, how to develop a business, how the startup world works, how to gain competitions, how to win competitions. Sorry, how to fundraise. I learned so many things, and I had so many experiences traveling all across the United States, competing against people and winning those competitions. That this was something invaluable that I really want to do again. And so, to wrap it up, I would like to say failing is hard, but it's very important to accept it and internalize it, and to man up and think that this is just a learning curve. And the more you fail and the more you win, ultimately everything's going to result in winning and in doing well. So I'm confident. I'm confident that later in the future I'm going to grow a successful business, and that's my dream and that's my passion. And it was only because of FlykeART that I could discover this. If you guys have any stories on how you fail in life and how it was hard to deal with it and overcome your failures, I would love to hear your stories. So if you could put comments in the comment section, or maybe write me an email, or if you guys would like to shoot an episode where we can talk about your story, I'm open for it, and that would be great. Um, and I just want to mention that with all of this perspective and all of the momentum I have from building a company, now I want to build a second company. Uh, and I'm not going to say what it is now because that's going to be for a later video. But basically, what I'm going to do is walk you through how I'm going to build the entire company from scratch. From the idea to the product to product design to manufacturing to getting funding. I'm at a very, very early idea stage. I just came up with the idea like a couple of months ago. And so I want to document the entire process to show you how I built the first one and how I'm going to build the second one. Why? Because online, there's a lot of YouTube videos of people saying, yeah, I designed the product and then I built it and then I sold it. But that's not helpful because no one knows the internal process and the micro on how that happened. And so that's going to be my new strategy. I'm gonna create a new company from scratch and put it all online for you guys to see the entire process and see how I'm going to use all of my experience from this failure to build a second company. So thank you very much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to building another great company and to growing and to documenting the entire process so that once I become successful, everyone knows that it wasn't just an overnight success, but a continuous effort to build great products and solve great problems. So, thank you very much. See you next episode. Bye.